What up, y'all? Recently, I've been thinking about my favorite number, and I have to say my favorite number is either 0, 1, or 7. I'm not sure. Probably 0 or 1. And luckily enough, in the trivial group, 0 is equal to 1. So 0 and 1 can both be my favorite number in the trivial group. The trivial group is a little bit boring, so yeah, I guess it depends on the group. And if you give me a group, then I can try to answer what's my favorite element of that group. But if we're talking the natural numbers, then 0 is not included in the formal definition of natural numbers, so I'd have to go with 1 or 7. If we're looking at the integers, then I'll probably have to go with 0, because 0 acts like a mirror, um, reflecting the positive numbers through the negative numbers geometrically. Um, and then if we're looking at the complex numbers, also you'd have to consider I and negative I. I also might be one of my favorite numbers. Nobody ever talks about negative I. Negative I gets no love. Neither does negative 1 and negative 7. So everyone talking about their favorite number never mentions negative I. And also, there's hella real numbers out there and complex numbers. There's plenty of numbers out there that nobody ever talks about. Even the natural numbers, there are natural numbers that human beings could never even comprehend because they're so large, and so they get no love. Nobody's favorite number is some arbitrarily large natural number which is inconceivable to the human mind. And moreover, if I picked a random number between, 0 and 1, then, in the real numbers, let's say, I chose a real number between 0 and 1, just threw a dart at the number line, it would be impossible for me to even explain that number, comprehend it. So I can never, choose it as my favorite. So there's a lot of numbers out there that go unnoticed that, are not people's favorites, and I think that's really sad. I think we need to take a moment to hear and listen to the numbers that nobody ever talks about. What about the quaternions? What about J and K? Nobody ever talks about J and K. Even if they want to say, oh, my favorite number is I, they're being really, different, and they like to kind of make a statement that they're different, their favorite number is I, they never mention J or K. But even the quaternions have associativity, and every group has associativity. So what about non-associative number systems such as the octonions? Nobody gives them enough love. And people talk about their favorite groups, but no matter what your favorite group is, it's always going to be associative. But non-associativity is an important property because assuming associativity in physics reflects a Markov property of time. Where if we assume that we represent time through a number system that's associative, then we're kind of implicitly assuming a Markov property of time, um, where essentially the present moment influences the the future, and we're not really considering, the influence of the distant past, in terms of, our quantum mechanical representation of time evolution, unitary operators, um, acting on the wave function. One of the key assumptions of the unitary operators acting on the wave function through time evolution is this associativity property, which is a huge assumption about time that may or may not be valid. It's extremely useful for calculation purposes, but still, there's so many numbers out there numbers, that nobody ever talks about. Luckily, I don't think the numbers care, whether or not, we pick them as our favorites. So I don't think that they really care about human opinions, which is good. They're not going to get insecure if nobody chooses them as their favorite number. But still, it's it's just kind of a, I don't know. This is kind of a comedic take. Anyways, y'all have a great day.